Welcome to the Head Shepherd Podcast. I'm your host, Mark Ferguson, CEO at neXtgen Agri International, where we help livestock managers get the best out of their stock. Before we get started, a big thanks to our three fantastic sponsors. Allflex, part of MSD, perhaps better known as Cooper's Animal Health in Australia, offers one of New Zealand and Australia's largest livestock product portfolios with a comprehensive suite of animal health and management products. Heininger is a one-stop shop for wool harvesting and animal fibre removal. The Heininger team have a deep understanding of livestock agriculture, backed by Swiss engineering and a family business dedicated to manufacturing the best. ProA Livestock Equipment have been delivering industry-leading livestock handling systems to producers across Australia, New Zealand and beyond for the last 25 years to improve on-farm safety, efficiency and profitability. We are grateful to our sponsors for their support, helping us bring Head Shepherd to you each week. And now it's time to get on with this week's episode. Welcome back to Head Shepherd. You're with Ferg as usual, about to head back to Australia. If you listen to this as it comes out, I'll be back in Australia doing a quick lap around. Quite a bit of time the next 6 to 8 weeks in Oz. If you're interested in catching up, make sure you get in touch. I'm going to be around a fair bit of the country, so happy to drop in and have a yarn. This week on the show, we welcome Jonno Hicks. Jonno farms at Coniva on the western Victoria, on the edge of the South Australian border. Jonno manages Hannaton, Merinos and white Suffolks. Been doing that for a number of years since taking over from his father on the business. We'll hear about that transition and how smoothly that went. And we'll hear about Jonno's absolute passion for breeding sheep, as you'll see and hear, in his voice. He loves breeding sheep and is really embracing the data. And we've been working with him for a number of years and really enjoying that. We'll get underway with this week's show with Jonno Hicks from Hannaton, Merinos and white Suffolks. Welcome, Jonno, to Head Shepherd.
Thanks, Ferg. Thanks for having me.
Great to have you on, mate. Looking forward to getting there in not too long, but thought we'd catch up today and talk all things Hannaton. We might start, as we kind of tend to, a bit about your background, I guess, how you ended up there back on the farm.
Yeah, so I was always passionate sheep-wise and breeding-wise and was a bit of a wool nut as a kid growing up. Probably inherited that from Dad. That's his thing. So was always in the sheep yards. That's my interest. Anyone who knows me kind of knows sheep and genetics are my thing. We run a mixed farming business here, and a big portion of what we do is broadacre cropping, but a lot of it doesn't make much sense to me, and I don't have a mechanical bone in my body, so my focus has always been the sheep, but didn't directly come home. Finished school in Adelaide and wasn't really sure about farming. Loved the sheep side of things, but I didn't want to work the hours that my dad had. Like there's plenty of times on the farm weren't always rosy. Now tough times and long days and long hours, so was conscious of that and sort of wanted to do different things. So I started a science degree in Adelaide, and I wasn't the most studious person. I enjoyed the social side of things over there and ended up dropping out after my first year and got a job with Elders. So, worked into the chemical sales side of that here locally in town. And then from there, decided to go back to uni and ended up at Marcus Hold'em and have been home here since 2009. So I've been a while home now.
Yeah, right. Talk us through, I guess, your dad growing up and, the style of sheep he bred, I suppose, and then that transition that you've gone through over the last little while in terms of you taking over the reins. And I think, probably very fortunate that he was very open and sort of gave you full control, which doesn't always happen out there in ag.
Yeah, very, very, very thankful of it. And especially some of the experiences that friends have had and other guys my age and those sort of things. And Dad was really open about giving over control. And looking back now, very thankful, because it's anyone in genetics, it feels like a lifetime's worth of work. It's your baby and you put so much energy into it. So he was really open about me, sort of taking more control when I moved home and all the changes we've made since moving into sheep genetics, more data collection, moving to non-mulesing, moving to 6-month shearing. Yeah, he's quick with an I told you so if it goes wrong, but he's been very open about letting me try new stuff and take that on, which has been great. So our base was probably a heavier fleece weight base when I came home. So Dad was really, really keen on quality wools and heavy cutters and probably more traditional, not super heavy skins, but was really conscious of having density and quality wools. And a lot of our sheep and our sows go south and into higher rainfall regions than us. So I was really keen on his wool quality and wool cut, and they were probably the two main focus for us. So I've been really fortunate taking over. I've had that as a base to work with, and then have sort of tweaked other traits and a bit more growth and some welfare stuff we're working into, and sort of changing type to it without trying to lose what made us good in the first place, I guess.
Yeah, definitely, and always impressed when I'm in the yards, and Peter is about, and or Grump as you refer to him, as he's definitely at the back pushing up, not coming up forward and saying this or that or whatever, and obviously would have an opinion, because you always do when you've been a sheep breeder. There's no way that you can't have, but he's obviously just quite open, and I think probably even enjoying some of the changes you've made.
Yeah, the change has been fantastic and amazing in him, and he spends a lot of time travelling back and forth and off farm now. But he'll message me at odd times, be like, "Oh, have you seen this ram on Cheap Genetics?" and look at his grandmother, and keen on the data, and the transition for that has been really good. We often, the older generation is the harder ones to shift on the data and new technology and stuff, but he's been really excited about the changes he's seen in our sheep and how it's improving our own commercial flock too. Like, it's hard to argue with the changes we've made, boosting our productivity, making our sheep easier to manage and more commercially relevant, I think. So it's been really nice to see that change happen, and he's genuinely excited about it, which is cool. So, no, it's been really good.
Yeah, no, excellent. Along the lines there somewhere, you added in the white suffix. We'll get back to talk in detail about the Merinos, but the white suffix was you always talked about you thought you'd just breed a few of them, but that's obviously got a bit of a momentum as well.
Yeah, it's been a really good addition to our business. I guess when we talk about, everyone loves to talk cropping and talk economy of scale, and you've got the tractor, you've got the air seeder, you've got the boom spray, you've got all the gear to do it. We were kind of that same way with the sheep setup. White suffix were a really good fit for our business and something I was really interested in. So we started that, I think, in 2018. And originally we were expanding our own business. We were building a big commercial flock, and I knew we were going to need a lot of terminal rams for ourselves. And then, sort of got passionate about that, and it's become a big part of our business. I think last year we actually sold more whites than we did Merinos, which is pretty incredible. But they've made big leaps, and the genetic shift in those is really cool too. There's a lot less traits, obviously, to measure, so the gains are much faster. But it's really cool and pushes our genetics. Now we're really only using sort of ram lambs and a couple of outside size for linkage every year, and how fast things shift in that is pretty cool, really.
Yeah, was any of that sort of help with, I guess, leaning into it in the Merinos, like just seeing what, I guess, is there learnings that you sort of swap between the two, or has it sort of been independent?
No, there's heaps of correlations between the two and what we're trying to change. Our Merino shape, they're learning from the whites about early growth and body shape and what they actually do, and the ones that perform the best early and doing better and those sort of things. But there's a lot of stuff that correlates between the two, and we're probably trying to change our Merino shape a lot more to more of a composite-looking animal, I guess, eventually. There's a lot of crossover between the two, which I find, which is great for learning, to be honest.
Yeah, definitely. And obviously in those sort of mating, you talked about mating using round lambs, but also mating ewe lambs, and been doing the same in the Merinos the last few years.
Yeah, I did look up before. It's in our newsletter this year. So, but 6 years now we've been joining ewe lambs, and this year probably our most successful year at it, which hopefully shows the changes in our genetics to make that easier. We've had some years where we get results up and down, probably based more on our management and the season, but we're starting to see sort of a trend upwards, which is probably the focus of the genetics. But we've been joining ewe lambs in the white since we had them, and joining ewe lambs in the Merinos now for 6 years, and often our most exciting genetics come out of those. I think last year's sire team, all bar one of our Merino rams out of our ewe lamb program. The top price rams the last 2 years have been out of our ewe lamb program. So really exciting to see our clients sort of identifying those genetics, and they obviously look a lot different rams tail day. They're born out of ewe lambs. They're 3 or 4 months younger than our adult ewes, than the lambs out of our adult ewes. So they do look a lot different on ram tail day, but our clients are appreciating the genetic potential in there and the power of the data, and that's been really exciting to see the shift in our clients as well. There's no point in us doing all this stuff and measuring everything if our clients aren't getting the benefit out of it and understanding that change as well.
Yeah, no, that's definitely good to hear. And I guess obviously there has, when you started out on a different journey, bringing those clients with you is critical. And so, they are more and more looking at the data these days.
Yeah, it's been, the shift is extraordinary, really, and we've been very fortunate. A lot of our clients are very long-term clients. We've been really lucky. We've got a really reliable client base that seem really happy with the genetics and the way we present them. They get used to seeing them straight out of the paddock and are used to buying them like that. They appreciate when they take them home. If they're doing well in our paddock, they're pretty much going to do well in our clients too. So, but the shift has been great, and the evolution of our clients looking at the data. We've got guys who've been buying rams for 40 years, and now they want the ram tail catalogue, a month out from the sale. We're not often that organised, but they want the data early so they can go through and make sure it's tracking along their breeding objectives and that sort of thing. It's really exciting. There's no point us, trying to prove what we're doing and measuring everything and changing traits in our sheep if they just get there and want to look at the sheep and sort of forget about everything else. So, yeah, the shift in our clients and their learning has been fantastic too. That's the part I think is really exciting for industry, that there's huge benefits now in having this stuff recorded. And if you're chasing traits or whatever you're looking for change, like, go out there and hunt the rams are going to do the job for you.
Yeah, exactly. And that's even people, like, obviously part of your process has been getting rid of the horn stud. Is that so people have been happy to go poles and follow along?
Yeah, it's been, even the change to non-mules has been pretty seamless with our clients. They're either happy or not. We started off, when I first came home, our horn stud was probably 80%, our stud was probably 80% horns, only 20% poles, and it's something we wanted to change. So we've just been chipping away at it. We still have horn rams come through. I'm still a sucker for a pH. Seems to come through every time you breed one you love. It's got something about it, and often for us it seems to be pH. But yeah, so there's always something in there. But yeah, we've made a big change, and our clients seem pretty happy at the moment to evolve as we shift as well. I don't know anyone out there who loves horns. I still think they look great. It's nice to take a photo of them, but when one jams in into the yards, I'm pretty happy to see them all go. So yeah, there's no commercial reason to have them. They're a pain, to be honest. So most of our clients have been really happy. We had a lot of years of offering both, and some clients had a preference one way or the other, but yeah, they all seem to have shift with the times. And yeah, as we've moved, our clients seem to be moving with us, which is great.
Yeah, definitely. How have you found the journey as you've sort of obviously wanted to make change, and you were known for good wool and plenty of it? The genetic trend in those traits have stayed pretty constant while you've managed to bring all the other things along.
Yeah, and it's in our newsletter this year. We've got our genetic trends in there since, I think, 2016 or 10 years worth. But yeah, our fleece weights really haven't altered. The way we're cutting our wool has probably changed a bit. We've got longer staples and obviously the 6-month shearing. We've changed our skin types a bit. Obviously, we needed to be non-mules. So we've changed other traits in there. But our fleece weights and our microns have basically stayed the same for 10 years. And they're not really something I wanted to work on. I was really comfortable where they were. We just needed to get a bit better balance in early growth and our carcass and lamb survival and those sort of things. So there's some welfare traits in there we wanted to shift, and early growth and production in other areas, I think, add more commercial value than just trying to push fleece weight sort of to the detriment of other issues. So, but it's been a really good shift. It's been, fantastic, like I said, for our commercial business, and that's what drives our genetics. All our clients are really commercial clients. We're not in it to breed the one stud ram, really. We're in it to breed all our sale rams, and it's probably an easy shift like that to make that move. And as all our clients really been coming with us, which has been good.
Yeah, for sure. One of the calls you made, I can't remember if it was 2 years or 3 years ago, but was to stop trimming any feet and put the rams up on as they are, which creates a little bit of angst for us as we're sorting out which rams can go on to sale, because it means you've got a degree of wastage that's always going to be there. It's easy to trim that foot and make it look good. Talk us through that decision and how it's gone.
Yeah, it has been tough. There's certainly, I'm the first person to stand up and admit our feet all aren't perfect, but for a long time we've been working really hard on our feet and our structure, and we have rams that don't need trimming at all and they stand perfectly, and we have ones that are a bit iffy, and we have ones that absolutely need trimming. So, and the hard part is you can change how they stand, and any stud breeder, if he's honest, will tell you can absolutely change how a sheep looks and how it stands. You can make them stand really, really well on a sheep that's average on its feet, and I think every commercial or stud buyer, any buyer out there, has had an experience when they've bought a ram and he looked great on sale day, and then 6 months later, his toes are getting a bit long, or this has happened or that's happened. Well, my argument would be that he had those issues before sale day. He was just really well prepared, and I'm comfortable showing our clients exactly what our rams do and how they perform. And it does mean we get wastage in our sheep, but I'd much rather see those rams gone out of our system and we're not breeding for them. We're not selecting for that. Like we get to see exactly what we are, and we're selecting for better genetics, and I'm really comfortable with that. So yeah, their saving grace is, and there are ones that absolutely break your heart. We've got some really high netting rams that the feet aren't right, but you only have to cull them once. Once they're gone, like, it hurts that day, but then you never see them again. They go and get their heads cut off, problem solved, and you forget about them out of the system, and we focus on the ones that we really want to use from that point. So yeah, it's a challenging day in the yards, classing them the first time around and sorting them out. But once they're gone, they're forgotten, and we focus on what we want to be doing. Yeah,
and it does bring a laser focus. It does bring a laser focus to feet when we're having to select size, and you're picking which size to bring in or which size to retain, knowing that there's no point putting that ram in there if it's slightly off on a foot, because we're just going to have a progeny to get rid of. So it sort of makes, it's hard and easy, I suppose. It means that it's just something that has to become non-negotiable.
Yeah, it's it's one of the challenges in breeding and Merinos, especially after breeding whites and Merinos. The challenge is the balance all the time and balancing traits and structure and all those sort of things. And there's so many things to look at in a Merino sheep too. So it's just another layer of complexity, but it does make it more satisfying when you start to see changes and classing our ewe weaners now, and you're here for that this year, and the foot structure and stuff in them is getting better and better all the time. And often we have to feed heavy grain ration and stuff, which is going to really test feet. And if they stand up to that, through the season, fantastic to see. And that's what we want to see. I just want to see our genetics keep improving. It's the part of the business I love is our genetic stuff and seeing growth and change and evolution. So, yeah, the more we can push that, and if it's something we don't have to worry about in the future, it suits me just fine.
Yeah, you mentioned your genetic gain and you graph in your newsletter. I guess of the things that are changing, is there any you sort of have been more challenging than others, or has it all moved kind of how you expected, or is there?
It moves much slower than I want, which is a pain. But the hard part is the balance. We've always got ones that are doing better in one area than the other. It's been shifting P weights hasn't been as quick as I would have liked. I'm holding onto our fleece weights and our microns. I think, starting with you originally, we sort of talked about our breeding objectives and the sheep we wanted to breed, and conscious that our fleece weights and microns, we're probably going to make that a challenge to hang on to that and, the trade-off. So, but there's more and more sheep now that fit the bill. We've probably held onto our fleece weight a bit more than some chasing carcass traits, but we're coming from a different angle, and now we're all sort of meeting in the middle, I think, a little bit. So, yeah, in hindsight, I might have been braver earlier and thrown some different stuff in there, and then, you get another cross back and make it work. But, everything, apart from being slower than I would have liked, no, it hasn't been too bad. You just have to keep chipping away at the edges and combining stuff. And obviously now using the neXtgen index that you've made with you guys for our own breeding, it makes life so much easier through the yards, having that instead of trying to weigh up so many traits. We're sort of working on the balance of what's important to us, and we can tweak it every year if we need to, what shifts. But that's been probably the biggest game changer in all our genetic stuff, I think, is having our own index and ranking all the animals in our system, and especially all our ewes, instead of just classing independently on year. We're just picking the ones that are performing the best or moving the data the way we want to. That part of it's been really exciting.
Yeah, no, that is a lot of fun. I actually feel quite uncomfortable these days when you're in a situation where you've got to go back to looking at the 15 data points or 20 data points and you haven't got that index. It's find it quite challenging now, because it has become quite comfortable to know that things are weighted in a way that will bring you to the outcome we want to achieve. And if we kind of trust the process and make sure we're checking those structural things and using the index and making sure we're not letting any faults through, it sort of, it makes it an exciting journey. And I feel like it's a more comfortable journey than kind of the risk of missing some plus 60 for worms that we just didn't see because we're looking at the wall or whatever can happen.
Yeah, I think the two things it tidies up is missing the ones that are terrible for one trait. You get focused on two or three and you find out she was super negative for fat or super positive for WEC or something else in there. And the other ones I think we miss in the system a little bit are the ones that are great across the board, but without being top 5% in any traits. We always, everyone loves the colours and they jump off your pen cards and those sort of things, but the sheep that are performing really well across a range of traits that are often antagonistic, and we miss that in our system sometimes, I think, without the index. So both of those have been, really important in us, and probably opened our eyes a little bit as our genetic trends keep shifting and our data keeps improving year on year. We're going too hard in classing our young ewes and throwing out some animals there that were really superseded some old ones, and we're keeping those old girls in just for the fact that they were good when they were 1.5s, but now they're 4.5s. They don't make the cut. So it's been really good for both points, I think, to tidy that up.
The other thing that has been instrumental, I think, in getting the boat going as quick as it is now, and that's sort of getting a bit focused on the group that are going to bring the gain, so cutting the numbers down to the ones that are going to bring the goods to the table. Often in Merino programs we can see massive programs and kind of stuff in there that if you look at them on paper, they're not actually they actually physically can't breed anything of huge value, and so having them there to create the numbers just creates work and cost. That's been a nice bit of efficiency.
Massive, yeah. It's the two things I think have probably changed our genetic business the most is having our own index and ranking animals based on that, and thinning everything down to a nucleus flock. It was a scary choice. Everything new is a little bit intimidating the first year you do it. So thinning our flock nearly by half what we were joining, but it's the best decision we've ever made. So and while we're genomicsing everything, a really good financial decision to get rid of sort of half of that cost based on a lot of that. There's a lot of, as much as we we know things are fairly efficient nowadays with the new yards and data collection, those sort of things. It just does all come with a cost, looking after all those animals as stud sheep and recording all that extra data. And half of them don't need to be there anyway, to be honest. We have a lot of wastage, and a lot of merino breeders we used to breed extra numbers thinking, the more we have, the more we've got to choose from. But like you said, there's a lot of ewes in our system that weren't going to be up to it and weren't going to take us forward. So it's been great to eliminate a lot of that wastage out of there, and it's been really, really good.
Yeah, I think when people hear the words like index breeding and think, we're going to ruin the type of the sheep and stuff them up completely or whatever and lose that consistency, whereas kind of the combination of index and mate cell, and it feels like the absolute opposite happens. They actually, you get the balance of traits right and consistent. They are actually becoming their own phenotype, keeping that good wool, that finer than probably average for where their carcass is, but really starting to put that shape in them. It's good to see that the phenotype follows the numbers.
Yeah, it's great. And the change in shape, I think, has probably been the biggest thing and the most addictive part about changing our type, to be honest. It's hard. I think it's obvious Merino numbers and Merino ewe numbers are dropping across the board in Australia, and all the consistent themes that people talk about, the old school things they hate about Merino ewes is they're either not the great mothers and they're poor doers, and the lambs won't grow and they don't survive, and all these sort of things that are absolutely changing in the industry. But once you see that change start happening in your own flock and you get some better carcass and some shape in there, and they either recover from a poor period better, or they look after their lamb so much better, or they bounce back quicker or carry fat when there's excess feed around, it becomes really addictive. It's hard not to want to love those animals that want to grow and want to live and want to land really easily. It's it's a no-brainer, really.
You mentioned you send a fair few sheep south, which means, you're kind of right on we didn't actually mention where you are. You're in Conniva, sort of South Australian, Victorian border, Western Victoria. The north of you is thick cropping, and you can kind of get away without any worm breeding at all. And south of you, it gets into 100% sheep enterprises the further south you go. So you've sort of worms may not be a massive challenge on your farm every year, but it's something you've put in play to allow those sheep to go south and still thrive.
Yeah, that and probably the wool quality for down there as well, just making sure that we do have waterproof wools. But it is a challenge. It's we're in an interesting spot. Last year we sold rams from southern Queensland down to Portland and lots of places in between, through the Riverina and through the Mallee and into the southeast of SA and completely different farming systems and climates and all sorts. So yeah, it's a real challenge actually to try and the one fits all is not always the case in Merinos, but we've been really fortunate. Our clients to the south, and it's probably a bit because Dad is the way he is with the wools, and I probably got a bit of that as well. We like those sort of good wools that handle the weather and handle that sort of stuff, and changing our body shape and type, I think, helps those animals that go south too for tougher conditions. It is absolutely tougher in the cold and wet. You go to Hamilton every year for sheep fencing, and I wouldn't want to be born outside any of those days normally. So it is it's nice to see our sheep standing up down there, which is great.
Yeah, for sure. You have spent plenty of time in the sort of, I guess, around those show type events, and now straddle probably both. I guess hopefully those worlds aren't two worlds anymore. They're kind of the same world, but it used to be a show world and a data world, but increasingly that's becoming the same. I don't know if that's a useful question or not, but has that sort of been something that's a challenge, or you sort of can happily be in both worlds?
Potentially a loaded question. I think my dream is both those worlds absolutely fit together. There's no point having great numbers on an animal that is going to get fleece rot or can't walk or is not the right sort of animal to reproduce. And there's absolutely no point having an animal that's lived inside all its life and looks fantastic for one day of the year that has no commercial relevance either. So the dream is those two things combined. So like we say, we're not feed trimming. We're really conscious on structure. We're really conscious on our wool quality, and I want the data to mesh as well. And I think that's the dream, to get the animal that does both. Our first classing we did here with you when we were sort of getting to know each other was one of those sort of examples where, and I was a bit the same. We've never been the first stud to try anything new or do stuff. We weren't first to the party on getting into sheep genetics. We weren't first to the party on trying to move fat. We weren't first to be non-mules. We're happy to kind of see what works and what works for other people. But even the data thing, we sort of dipped our toe in the water for a little bit and measured it. And the first couple of years when you have really low linkage and low accuracy, our numbers were a bit all over the shop. So, but I remember the first time you come into the yards and going through weaners, I wasn't sure how it'd go if it was all numbers and no sheep, and went through the day classing them. I think my comment afterwards was, that was really good. I'm glad I don't have to do it again when you're gone. So I was happy to see that you were as conscious on structure and wool and everything as I was, which was great. So I think that if the two combine and mesh, that's the dream. That's exactly what sheep breeders should be going for. I think it's really hard. And the way we prepare them all outside in the paddock, no feed trimming. I just don't understand the full shedded setup and stuff. I think the rams and the ewes look fantastic coming out of that program, but I just think it's losing commercial relevance, which is a bit sad. It's great for those guys who want to do it; they're incredibly passionate about it. But it's I think there's better ways to present your sheep for clients who are going to be using them commercially. I think it's more valuable, really.
Yeah, I think we're seeing evolution in the way. I think your words were actually I didn't know if you'd be any good at that or something along those lines. I think that was seared into my memory pretty well. But
so it was the scientist I'd employed off a podcast I'd heard. I wasn't really sure if he knew anything about looking at sheep, so it was very refreshing anyway, which was good. So you've been stuck with us ever since. So
yeah. That was. I think it still remains the best comment after those class thing I've ever had. So
the first few years were a bit scary. We're trying to change traits that we didn't have either, which was a bit sad. So it's very hard trying to sort of evolve when we probably didn't have the spread of data in our own flock to sort of move stuff. So the first couple of years was a lot of outside stuff, but changes for the better, which has been fantastic. I'm really glad we made those moves. But the first couple of years is always a bit nerve-wracking. Anytime you want to change something big about your business, it's always a bit scary, but I'm glad we did. I wish we'd done it more and done it earlier probably, but hindsight's 2020.
Hindsight is 2020, exactly. I guess, we can always look back and think differently, but I guess probably the time you did start hooking into it was a time where we kind of knew a lot more and there was less mistakes to make. And there's reasons that not everyone wants to be the first mouse to the trap. It's I think we were a lot better informed by the time we were sort of you were hooking into it and we could sort of not make the same mistakes, which was pleasing. But
like we've got so many clients even here locally that are all guys here that are broadacre farm, like broadacre cropping mixed sheep. It's sort of the area we're in. And on their broadacre cropping side of stuff, they're incredibly focused on the data, the technology. There's been great leaps and bounds. I think the sheep side of stuff has made a massive catch up in the last few years. The last 10 years has probably been more exciting than the last 50 as far as information out there for stud breeders and commercial guys. But all our broadacre cropping guys are obsessed with data. They're, controlled traffic, their variable rate on everything. We're doing VR maps on nearly all our property now, making sure we're getting a bang for the buck everywhere. And then they still go and visually want to assess a ram catalogue or a ram sale lineup. And it blows me away. I think if you went to the local, plant variety trial site and someone walked through there and said, I like this breed of wheat, its leaves are this beautiful green colour, you get laughed out of there. Like, I just want to know what its disease package is, what it yields like. Like, I just want to know the numbers on it. So it blows me away sometimes, the same guys who are incredibly focused on the data and performance on one side of their business and then still relying on, what was the go-to 25 years ago, visually assessing stuff. There's just so many things we miss now without the data. So, and the really eye-opening one this year or the last couple of years, moving to full genomics, having 100% accurate parentage coming through and classing our ewes post-weaning when we get those numbers back. Having kilograms of lamb weaned on those ewes is incredibly powerful information. And the first year we did it, we had some ewes coming through that are red set to twins. I think they averaged like 32 kilos or something. So she's given us like 65 or 70 kilos nearly of lamb. She's absolutely killed it. And she looked terrible. Like she looked like a bag of bones. Her wool was a bit shorter. It was a bit flatter. And she's absolutely crushed it financially. She's our most profitable ewe. And you get these other ones come through that have, scanned single, lost to lamb, and they look magnificent. And every year, nearly to that point, I would have classed in the one that had lost its lamb and culled the one that had twins. I think we've been selecting against fertility nearly forever, which is terrifying. So, without the data, you just can't make those decisions. So
it's just mind-blowing how bad they look if they do the work, or how good they look if they don't, I suppose, either way. Particularly with wool, I think, like wool is is so reflective of how hard they've had to work and how well they've lactated, like that it can look kind of, well off the pace, yet you take those lambs away and give it a dry run, and that wool looks amazing, and
Yeah.
cut a heap more of it, and that's all hunky dory.
Yeah, it's even in utero, the difference between twins and singles and the stuff out of ewe lambs. It's there's huge differences in all that we probably take for granted and we would miss otherwise without the data. So information is fantastic. I love having it backed up with what I see visually as well. But without the numbers nowadays driving our business, there's so many sheep we would either overlook or things we would bring into the stud that just don't deserve to be there. So the numbers, fantastic.
You talked about wool quality, and I think one of the great things this time going through the ewes, we've sort of been scoring wool colour and character and rot the last few years, but I feel like this year, kind of if it had a good breeding value, you'd open it up and it looked good, and if it didn't have a good breeding value, you open it up, like it was actually really reflective. The prediction of how good the wool was going to look, the breeding value is already picking that, which is sort of adding, again, where we know that single twin effects are having their effect, then knowing that the breeding value is actually picking that good wool is pretty comforting as well.
Yeah, it's that's the most exciting part when the data I think lines up with what you see visually. There's often there's twins out of ewe lambs or something different, or there's reasons why other ones. But when the data matches in and you go through our stuff in the first couple of years, like I said, we probably had numbers a little bit all over the shop with really poor linkage and not a lot of our sheep in the system. And the longer we've been in it, like the higher fleece weight ones, the softer for touch ones like CV and all those sorts of things, it reflects exactly what you're seeing, what you're feeling, what you think the sheep's performance is going to be. And when it lines up like that, it's brilliant. That's the stuff that I think is really exciting and is powerful. And it just gives me so much more confidence in the data and relying on that when we're looking for outside size and looking at other people's stuff. And now we've got those wool quality, colour, rot, character scores there. Really comfortable putting a heap of emphasis on those and, relying on that for using outside sheep and someone else's genetics. And being really comfortable with how they're going to perform here.
Yeah, that use of outside stuff is obviously when you had a big change you were going to look for. So big part of the job was finding where we're going to get outside genes that would come in and complement and do what you need to do. I think increasingly we're seeing now that what you want to use is the stuff you're breeding, and that becomes, I think that's when things start really moving that next step up, when you don't have to go outside, because there's always wastage of grabbing something else is something that you haven't. Yeah, there's always something that doesn't click or whatever the words are. But really nice to see some really good young sires coming through that can sort of bring us forward on the traits we want to bring forward, and knowing that they've sort of done it in your environment.
Yeah, that's a bit, especially the last couple of years, probably has been really exciting when we started moving our data and certainly changing our type and chasing some more carcass and certainly reducing breech wrinkle and working out some other traits that we necessarily didn't have. Really hard those first few years to we think, are you ever going to catch up? You kind of look at everyone else's numbers and wonder, are we always going to be coming second? But yeah, we've made some really good changes and some leaps in that area. And now it's really exciting to see that ours on our index, there's plenty of our rams that match up, and we know they've performed here. We know the feet, we know what the wool's like and that sort of things. Like we know they perform in our environment, our management. So it's really exciting to see some of those guys are really stacking up and ranking there for the traits that we value, ranking as well as the outside stuff, which is really exciting. I think every stud breeder wants to find that unicorn for someone else. I think it's going to change the game, but it seems to be getting harder and harder to find them. I don't know, but we're grabbing the traits that we think we want to change and work on and using that from outside stuff. And then, a lot of the drive is coming from our own now, which is really exciting. Yeah,
and I'm finding as I get older, or I don't know what the driver is, but I feel way less excited about individuals these days and much more excited about teams, and that makes sense when we think about genetics. And I think that's definitely happening there. Like, it's not about kind of any individual animal. It's about putting that 5 or 6 out or 10 out that are all got that average of taking us forward, taking that index value forward as a group. I think the days of that one ram that we can bring in and make a massive shift are probably we had a big influence sire there obviously over the last few years, but hopefully those days are limited, and it's more about that team of young ram lambs that we can use that'll take you forward.
Yeah, the last couple of years, like we've had, one ram has had a huge influence on our breeding, which has been fantastic. He's worked very, very well for us. But now the move is going forward about balancing rams to use and like you say, finding a team and getting stuff that complements, and mate cell's really fantastic for that, making sure we're sort of folding in the edges all the time and driving everything forward on our index. It's been pretty exciting the last few years to see the change.
I know you and I can talk genetics all day, and we've got plenty of opportunity to do that in the future, but maybe just quickly switch gears to the business. I think one of the things I always notice when I rock up to your place. There's always good, happy staff around. Is there, that might be complete luck, or it might be that you're good at managing, or you've been good at choosing them, but you've had a great team around you all the time I've been around anyway.
Yeah, I just tell them that when people hear they have to pretend they enjoy their work. So, no, we have been very fortunate. We know we're very lucky. While staff and labour is a real issue ag-wise in general, we've been very fortunate at the moment, probably overstaffed. So we've been doing a lot of development work and stuff on the farm while we've had a school-based apprentice come through. We've had about history of having school-based apprentices and encouraging guys in ag, and we get some brilliant young people who are really highly motivated. And at the moment, we've got another apprentice on who's just gone full-time with us this year, and some long-term staff have been with us for a while. I think the key is we have a fairly diverse business, so we have something that appeals to different people and just finding the fit. So everyone is passionate about something. My thing is genetics. I'll talk all night about sheep and breeding. I don't like the selling side of stuff. I'm much like the first thing I normally do about someone asks about a ram is I tell them what I don't like about it, or our genetics. I'm tell them all the things that we're trying to change in our sheep, the things that are wrong about them. But the selling side of stuff could do work, but the genetics is my passion. I really love sheep. I love seeing things evolve. I love seeing things develop. Like I said, machinery is not it at all. So we have a cropping manager, a guy when we're doing sheep work, he avoids it like the plague. But you find guys and find people that fit in your business and try and make sure we angle the work that suits them and they enjoy it. And we're pretty open about our business, about what we do. I think they appreciate being part of the decision-making process too. I think giving guys responsibility, and I never wanted to be working anywhere else. It's hard to be the last one on the list and the shit kicker and, go to this, go to that, whatever. It's nice to know if we're doing something, we're doing it for a reason, and often they'll come up with ideas and other stuff to fit in, and my way is not always the right way. I'm just doing it the way that I thought. If they've got a better way of doing it, let me know and we'll work it out. But we're very fortunate. Our staff is a really good group. We enjoy coming to work with them, and hopefully they enjoy working with us. But I think the way you treat them and finding people to fit roles that that suits their skill set or their interests makes work a lot easier, is what I find.
Yeah, and obviously don't work them that hard because they've got time to run 20 Ks in the middle of the night and stuff after they finish work out as well.
Yeah, and Jess, who does most of our stock work, her dogs were a bit flat the other day. She was shifting ewes, but it did mention that she'd taken them for a 30K run in the morning before work started, and the poor old Kelpies. I don't know too many other farmers that could wear out their Kelpie, but she's managed it. So that's a good. So she should have signed up for your run this year. She would have. She'd be finished by now, I think. Actually, no offense to her, but
should have been done by March, mate.
Yeah, I think she did 80Ks last week. Just in a couple of days, went for a run and managed to fit in sheep each and in between. So she's more Ks than the rest of our group combined by a fair bit. But we're very fortunate on that front. We're blessed really with our staff and how they work for us, which is great.
Excellent, mate. We better wrap up. The last question we always ask everybody is, who's the best human you've had the opportunity to learn from?
Yeah, I knew this one was coming because I listened to the podcast a bit. I have a few. I'm very fortunate. Well, the people I love working with are the people who are passionate about their topic. I think anytime you talk to someone, so talking to yourself, the first year we signed on with neXtgen, I think it was 2020, so we're in the height of COVID, and we decided we wanted to employ a geneticist from New Zealand, and we were in COVID-riddled Victoria, which I don't know how good a move that was at the time, but going through Ramsdale catalogues, and it was pre-kids for us. We had Jemima was little, and Ed came into the office, my wife, and was, what are you still doing here? I'm like, I've been going through catalogues with Ferg and talking stuff. And she's like, it was like 11:30 here. We've been at it for a few hours. And it occurred to me it was about 1:30 or 2 in the morning in New Zealand. So, and you said at the time, sheep are my happy place. So, and it's kind of a bit the same for me. If anyone's passionate about a topic, we're very fortunate to work with you. Our agronomist that does the work on the farm, the agronomy's not my thing at all, but really love having him. He's really passionate about what he does, what he learns, what he brings to our business. We're probably slightly different to a lot of the continuous cropping guys around us. We're conscious of our pastures and like working on different things, and he's willing to try new stuff. But anyone who's passionate about their work or any topic, I kind of love listening to those guys and soaking up a bit of thing. But probably the person that's had the most influence on me is Dad. And like he said, was really open about and appreciate it much more now than I probably did at the time. There was times early on where we'd get to work in the morning. It's like, what do you want me to do today? And I was like, I want you to organise stuff so I don't have to. But as it's worked out, it's been fantastic, and we're very fortunate that he was pretty open about, handing on a lot of responsibility, especially with the sheep stud. So, learning a lot from him about certainly work ethic and those sort of things early, and he's incredibly driven and motivated. But being open about, giving on the reins and those sort of things, I appreciate much more now than I probably did at the time.
Yeah, thanks, mate. Thanks for that yarn. It's been fantastic to get that story all recorded, and looking forward to catching up in just over a week and going through those rams and seeing what we end up with.
Best day of the year, better than Christmas ram selection day. It's as good as it gets. So hopefully it should be good this year.
Surely, yeah, excellent. Thanks, mate.
Thanks for listening, and thanks again to our 3 fantastic sponsors. Hannaton, who are proud world leaders in the manufacturing and supply of professional sheep shearing and clipping equipment. Allflex Livestock Intelligence, part of MSD Animal Health, offer an extensive livestock product portfolio focused on animal health management, all backed up by exceptional service. ProWay Livestock Equipment offer turnkey solutions from design through to professional installation and specialise in facilities that are tailored to your specific operation for all livestock species. We thank these 3 great companies for their ongoing support of the Head Shepherd podcast.